Hi there booktube, it's Eleanor here, and I've got you propped up on my shelves because I am just on the last book for one of the queens that I am doing for my RuPaul's Drag Race, but I want to start another queen because sometimes I like to have an audiobook going. This one doesn't have an audiobook, so why not start the next queen at the same time? So let's pull the cards. So here are my queen cards. I'm going to shut my eyes. We'll do this one. Ooh, Nina West, Miss Congeniality in your favourite genre. Right, I'll go and have a look and come back. Okay, I'm going to say at the moment romance is my favourite genre, and my latest book in the Palm South University series, number 5, has just come in. So for that I'm going to read Ritual by Candy Steiner. This book series is just so addictive. It's like watching an episode of Greek. If you ever watched Greek, the sitcom, it's just like watching that, and like yeah, it's just really fun. Okay, so as always, we're going to pick the challenge. Shutting my eyes and mixing them around. I'm going to get in there. This one. I want this one. Lick my fingers. Ooh, variety. Genre you haven't read for a while. Okay, let me go and have a look. Okay, for that I'm going to tie in something that came in my Once Upon a Time book box, because I want to open that because it's got all the little presents that come with it, and that is sort of historical fiction. This is Rebel Spy by Veronica Rossi. What I like about this, because normally historical fiction isn't really my thing, but this one's set in the 1700s, 1776. And it's about a girl who assumes someone else's identity after a boat accident, and then ends up becoming a spy. So I think this is going to be really good, and I'll be able to share with you the gifts that I get in the box as well. I feel like this is not doing some very good focusing, so I apologise if it's all a bit fuzzy, but you're up high. I'm trying to film this quickly, and I didn't want to set up my stuff because I'm being lazy. Okay, so that is our challenge. We've now got to do the category is. Okay, I'm shutting my eyes. I'm going to pick one out. I'm going to pick this one. Ooh, Black and White Drama, a Black Lives Matter book. So let's see what I could pick for that. Okay, one of the books that I picked up, because obviously Black Lives do matter, and everything that's been going on has really highlighted the need for me, especially in my reading life, to read more books about Black people written by Black authors. And so I've picked up this one. It is called The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed. I've seen a few people talk about this, but it's set in 1992 in Los Angeles. It says it's an unforgettable and unflinching exploration of race, class, and the importance of being true to yourself. It's about a girl. She lives on the right side of town. There's sort of the model Black family, and then 4 LAPD officers are acquitted after beating a black man, Rodney King, half to death, and suddenly she's just not one of the girls, she's one of the black kids. And it's about the time when these sort of violent protests occur, and what happens in her family, and the sort of questions she starts asking herself. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one, and I think it's a really important book. So yeah, I'll look forward to telling you what I think about this one. So that's 3. So now we've just got to pick our judge. Okay, as always, we've just got our 4 judges. I'm not looking. Who is going to be judging this time? This one here. Oh, I don't know why my camera's having such an issue with focusing today, but it was Carson Kressley, and he is fashionable at the moment, a buzz book. So let me have a little look and I'll come back to you. So I've picked this one because I think it's one that's buzzing at the moment. People are excited about it, and that's Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. I was very kindly gifted this one, and I have it on audio as well, so that works out well because I love a good audiobook. So I'll come back to you when I've read some of these and let you know how Nina West is getting on. So bye for now. Okay, so I finished my fashionable at the moment book, which is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. I listened to this on audio, and I was expecting a similar type of story to Red, White and Royal Blue. This sort of 2 boys pushed together for the sake of their careers. They're not really sure they like each other, and this sort of tension and heat between them as they realise that they actually like each other. And although I suppose there's elements of that to this was a much softer story, and there was a lot less chemistry for me, which was unfortunate. It's the story of 2 boys. One is a barrister, and the other is the son of a rock star, and the son of the rock star flits between relationships, can't really trust people. He's been bitten in the past where people have sold his story in relationships, and he works for a dung beetle charity, which is quite fun. And the barrister struggles with relationships as well, struggles to open up, and has a very well, not unusual, but a very abusive, I suppose, relationship with his family. His family aren't very nice to him, and they're constantly putting him down. And they are put together to try and help each other's image. One needs a date for a party at his parents', and the other needs a date for a PR event, and just to sort of tone down the image for their companies. And so they're put together in this sort of fake relationship, and they start fake dating. And obviously one thing leads to another, and they realise perhaps that there is something more there. I just think this missed, for me, the tension. It was sweet and lovely, and they definitely learned a lot about themselves. Often with these sort of stories, you sort of build up, and then there's something that comes crashing down, and then they have to sort of build back up again. And I felt like the parts of this towards the end where you had these sort of climactic things just didn't hit the mark for me quite. It was a really lovely story. There was some definite out loud laughing moments for me. Definitely when he goes to Luke, that's his name, Luke, or Lucian, goes to dinner with Oliver's friends, and this sort of discussion about dung beetles is very funny, and I really enjoyed the sort of comedy elements of this. There was some very interesting writing and some really good writing. So I did enjoy it, but I just didn't love it. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars. So that's 4 stars towards Nina West's points. And actually, this is a very Nina West book because it's got that niceness to it. It's quite not wholesome, but there's no steaminess here. You do get a little bit of, not sex scenes, but you do get a little bit of that, but it's quite PG. It's quite fade to black, so not quite what I'm used to, but I did really enjoy it. So 4 stars to this one. Okay, so I have just finished the challenge, which is a variety, a genre you haven't read for a while. Now, I was going to read something else, and it just wasn't appealing to me. I just wasn't feeling it, so I ended up going for a short story collection, which is definitely a sort of type of writing that I haven't, maybe not necessarily a genre, but it's definitely a format of writing that I haven't read for a long time. And if you've watched this channel for, you know, a long time, you'll know that I really struggle with short story collections. There's been one ever that I've given 5 stars, and that was Sweet Home by Caris Bray. So I went into this with a little bit of trepidation, but it's been on my shelf for ages. It was about time I sort of cleansed it from my shelf, so I needed to read it or get rid of it, so I decided to read it. And that is The Last Animal by Abby, I think it's Jenny. This is a collection of stories which involve people and animals. Or that's what it says, although some of these I don't think had animals in at all. It says, remarkable stories unified around one theme, people who use the interface between the human and natural world to contend with modern challenges in love, loss and family life. So there's stories in here. There's a story about a woman who works in an aquarium with octopus, and her brother has gone missing years previous, and we're looking at sort of her relationship with the animals and also with her mother, and also this disappearance and how she deals with that. There is a girl who's in a relationship at high school, and she's struggling to detach herself from quite a toxic relationship, and she goes on these really long walks with her dog to sort of help her clear her head, and it's her sort of space, and it's about having to relinquish that support in order to break free and get what you need. There's some really interesting ones in here, and there was definitely some 4-star stories in here, but I'd say the majority of them for me were sort of 2 or 3 star. So on average I gave this one 3 stars. It was good, but it wasn't, I just think maybe it's me and short stories, I don't know, but this was a 3 star. So I've still got a couple of books to read, and there's still hope for Nina West, so we'll find out, but I will come back to you when I've read the next one. Hi guys, so it's been a little bit of a long time. I've just been getting a little bit slumpy, so I haven't really been reading my books, but I have finally finished the next book that I was reading for Nina West's TBR, and this is Ritual by Candy Steiner. Now I can't tell you an awful lot because this is book 5, I think, in the Palm South University series by her. I've talked about this one before, and it's just a real feel-good, fun, romping read. If you ever watched Greek, the TV series, this reminds me very much of that. It's about the sort of trials, tribulations, love life, growth, learning of this group of girls in a sorority house, and the boys that they fall in love with, fall out of love with, have all sorts of escapades with, and there's also this bond of friendship, but alongside that it does dip into some more difficult topics. Throughout the series we've had things like drug addiction and coercive behaviour and cheating and pregnancies and rape. I mean, there's been a lot of different things that have happened over the time, but I've really enjoyed how they've been tackled and the way that the girls always come together, and it's just one of those like books that I know that when the next one comes out I'm just going to buy, gobble up, and it doesn't matter how much time has passed, it just feels like no time has passed. So again, this was a 4-star for me. Okay, so I've just finished Category Is, a black and white drama, a Black Lives Matter book. So that's a book that I picked up recently, wanting to push myself and just open myself up to reading more black authors, making a conscious decision. And so I picked off my TBR, The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed. And this proved to be a really interesting book. Set during 1992, when the Rodney King trial was sort of taking place. And if you didn't know, Rodney King was a black man who was brutally beaten by 4 policemen who were then later, I believe, acquitted. And this is set during that time when riots happened in LA, and our main character, Ashley, lives in a privileged part of town. She's a black girl. Her parents are wealthy. She's always been wealthy. She's always lived in this area, although her parents didn't grow up in this area. She's got a group of white friends. She is one of very few black children at her school, and so she lives in this sort of area of privilege and ignorance to a lot of what is going on. These riots then start to sort of open her eyes. So as we progress through the story, Ashley goes on quite a big character progression and a growth in terms of becoming aware of who she is, of what it is to be black, of how people are treated differently, and to sort of discover how important it is to have people who look like you and share similar experiences as you within your friendship circle. What I find most saddening about this book is how things don't seem to have changed. There's this video evidence of the Rodney King murder, and yet these police don't face any justice. It rings so many bells with current situations and the current climate, and that's really saddening, and I think this book does a great job of highlighting that. What I really liked about this book is the family dynamics and the friendships were really well fleshed out. The characters felt real. They weren't just side throwaway characters, and especially with the sort of family, which you often find with the parents in YA books, they're quite non-present. They're sort of entities in the background that don't really get involved, but that's not the case with this. You do have a lot of family dynamics. Ashley's older sister has left home. She sort of dropped out of college and ended up marrying this man, and she's very much into sort of activism, and she lives in a poorer area of town. She's chosen to live with her husband somewhere where they can afford, and because he's not wealthy, so she's changed her lifestyle completely, something which her parents don't really understand or know how to support, and that's something that sort of Ashley is learning to sort of learn a bit more about as she grows and matures. It's her final year of school. She's a senior, so she's just at that stage in her life where she's starting to learn about who she wants to be as a grown-up. I really liked the messages in the story. I really liked Ashley's sort of character progression, because she isn't a likeable character at some points. But one thing that just pulled this down a star for me really was the pacing. I felt like it didn't pace very well. It didn't draw me through the story as I would have liked. And there are so many things crammed into this book, and there are certain things I just don't think we had the time to sort of they weren't developed as much as I hope, really. And I think maybe taking a few of those out may have allowed more room for the others to sort of be more fleshed out. So I definitely think this is worth reading. I think it's an important read, and I really enjoyed it. I love the cover as well, and I gave this one 4 stars. Okay, so let's look at Nina West's journey. Nina West has had a 4 for Ritual, a 3 for Last Animal, a 4 for The Black Kids, and a 4 for Boyfriend Material, but unfortunately that only puts her on 15, and she needs to be on 17 to stay without having to go to lip sync. So let me get my lip sync cards and we will pick a book for that. Okay, here's my lip sync cards. I'm going to shut my eyes, I'm going to move them all around, and I'm going to pull out one. Here we go. Oh, I can't get it. Ah, there it is. Oh, okay. Actually, this is quite good for me. It's The Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston, and pick a romance. That won't be a problem. I've got plenty on my shelves, and actually that's exactly what I'm in the mood for. So let me pick one of these out and I'll come back and show you which one I'm going to go for. Okay, I've decided to go for this one. It was just calling to me. It's one I had on my TBR a while back and I didn't get to read, and yeah, I'd really like to read this one. So it's Along for the Ride by Mimi Grace. This is a road trip story about 2 people that are sort of thrown together on this road trip across country. I think they're helping her sister move house. There's bound to be some hotel they have to stay in and some sort of romance. I don't know if it's a hate to love or not. Yeah, it looks like it's a hate to love. One person she can't stand. So I think this is going to be a really good one for this, and yeah, I'll come back to you when I finish this and we'll see if Nina West gets to Shantae stay or has to sashay away. Okay, so as suspected, I read this in an evening and a morning, and yeah, this was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's the story of our main character Jolene, and she is at the very start of the book having to take a cross-country trip in a removal van with her brother-in-law's best friend, who she absolutely hates and finds a bit sort of stiff and quiet and sanctimonious, and forever sort of looking down his nose at her. And they've agreed to do this driving the removal van for her sister and her brother-in-law, because they're following on later in their car with the breakables and other things. So anyway, this the actual travelling bit of this is actually quite a small part of it. Maybe only the first quarter of the book is this journey, which sort of throws them together to find out more about each other and sort of discover an attraction, and then we just sort of carry on from there. Jolene works in a PR firm, and so we hear a bit about you know, her love for her job, what her aspirations are, also a bit about her past. She has had a marriage, which is interesting to find out about, and there was sort of a big incident at her sister's wedding, which we sort of learn about as well. And then our main male character is a dentist, and he's quite straight-laced, and he's struggles to sort of branch out and find the fun in things, and it's just sort of a bit of a romance from there, really. And I just really enjoyed it. It was a really easy read. It had some good steamy moments, it had some good feel-good moments, it had some good sort of development of the characters and discovering who they are and working through their issues, and it was just a brilliant story from beginning to end, really. It has black main characters. I'm not sure if our author is also a black author. I think so, but I'll have to check that and I'll put it on the screen here. But yeah, I'm really pleased I read this one finally, and I'm going to give it 4 stars, which means that Nina West ends this on 19 points. So Nina has done it. She's won the lip sync and she gets to Shantae stay. So Nina, Shantae, you stay, and I'll see you in the next one.